Qin Yang took the USB drive, and he had already made up his mind. Zhou Guodong, the elder he had respected since childhood, might be the biggest traitor. Thinking of this, his heart couldn't help but ache. Uncle Li, you've worked hard over the years. Qin Yang stood up and said, leave the rest to me. When leaving the tea house, Qin Yang's phone rang. It was Wang Kuei who called. Brother Yang, there is an unexpected situation. Zhou Guodong's daughter Zhou Ling is holding a birthday party at the Crown Club tonight. Su Guohua and his son from the Black Dragon Society will be present. Qin Yang's eyes flashed with a strange light. Zhou Ling, his childhood playmate, has now become a variable in his revenge plan. I see. He answered briefly, I'll have someone prepare a special birthday gift. As night falls, the Crown Club is brightly lit. This was once one of the Qin family's businesses, but now it has fallen into the hands of the Black Dragon Society. Qin Yang stands in front of the mirror and adjusts his tie. This will be his first public appearance after returning to China. Wang Kuei handed over an exquisite gift box. Brother Yang, this is the gift you wanted. Qin Yang opened the box and found a priceless diamond necklace inside, which was said to be a limited edition brought back from Dubai. But the real gift was for someone else. The banquet hall of the clubhouse was filled with people drinking and drinking. Zhou Ling stood on the stage and gave a speech, looking radiant. After 5 years, this girl next door has grown into a beautiful lady. Among the guests in the audience, Su Guohua and his son from the Black Dragon Society were present, and their presence cast a shadow on this seemingly pure banquet. Just as Zhou Ling finished her speech, the lights in the venue suddenly went out. There were a few exclamations from the crowd, and then a spotlight hit the entrance. Qin Yang walked in slowly, dressed in a suit and leather shoes, with an extraordinary demeanor. When his identity was recognized, the entire venue suddenly became so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. Long time no see, Lingling. His voice was gentle, but his eyes were sharp as a knife. Happy birthday. Zhou Ling was stunned, tears welling up in her beautiful eyes. Yang, brother Yang? Su Guohua, who was sitting at the head of the table, had a gloomy expression. He obviously didn't expect Qin Yang to come back at this time. What surprised him even more was that Qin Yang dared to show up in such a high profile. Zhou Guodong pretended to be calm and walked forward to try to smooth things over. Younger, you're finally back. Have you been okay overseas these years? Qin Yang smiled faintly. Thanks to my God, it's very good. As he spoke, he walked towards Zhou Ling and took out the diamond necklace. Let me put this gift on you. Zhou Ling trembled slightly, but did not refuse. When the cold diamond touched her warm skin, Qin Yang whispered something in her ear, which made her face turn pale instantly. The banquet continued, and on the surface there was laughter and joy, but undercurrents were surging. Qin Yang interacted with the guests, behaved properly and talked well. But anyone with a discerning eye could see that this was the calm before the storm. When Wang Kuei returned to his residence that night, he asked, Brother Yang, why did you make such a high-profile appearance? This would alert the enemy. Qin Yang looked at the night outside the window, with a sneer on his face. Sometimes, it's easier to avoid an open attack than to defend against an arrow from the dark. If they knew I was back, they would lose their composure. In the following days, Qin Yang began his layout. First, he acquired several local companies through overseas connections to regain his foothold in the business world. At the same time, he secretly contacted some former members of the Qin family, and they all had a strong desire to work for him. On the Black Dragon Society side, the conflict between Su Guohua's 2 sons was intensified by Qin Yang's instigation. The eldest son Su Jia was ambitious and wanted to take over as soon as possible. The younger son Su Wei relied on the power of his mother's family and was not willing to be outdone. Late one night, Qin Yang received a call from Zhou Ling. Brother Yang, I found out something. She cried. It was indeed my father back then. He and Su Guohua had been in collusion for a long time. Qin Yang was not surprised, but still felt a pang of heartache when he heard the confirmation. What are you going to do? There was a moment of silence on the other end of the phone. I'll help you. To atone for my father's sins. This was exactly what Qin Yang wanted. At the banquet, he whispered to Zhou Ling about the doubts about her father. He knew that Zhou Ling was a smart girl and would definitely investigate secretly. With Zhou Ling as an insider, many things became much easier. Through her, Qin Yang learned that Su Guohua would have a large arms deal in the near future. This was exactly the opportunity he had been waiting for. However, on the eve of the operation, an accident happened. Zhou Ling was kidnapped, and the kidnapper asked Qin Yang to go to the dock alone to rescue her. It's a trap. Wang Kuei frowned. Chen Yang nodded. I know, but I have to go. At midnight on the dock, the moonlight was obscured by dark clouds. Chen Yang arrived at the designated location as requested by the other party and saw Zhou Ling tied to a container. Zhou Guodong stood aside with a complicated expression. Are you disappointed? Zhou Guodong said with a wry smile. In fact, since the day you came back, I knew I couldn't escape.